This is the Uncensored podcast with Robert Peppo.
Do you think people will vote for me?
Alex hears me bitching and screaming at this thing when I'm practicing. So like last night, I was setting it up, listening, recording. It works? All right, good. And this morning, but for the first time, it actually worked the first time without me having to do anything.
Far out.
Mm-hmm. Every other time,
That's never going to happen again.
right. Fine. As long as it happens with the most amount of guests I've ever had, I'm cool with, because every other time Alex knows, she'll attest to it, that I...
This one will work, that one won't. That one
Right.
will, this one won't.
Wow.
And I'm not a fucking tech guy.
Yeah.
So it's not like I know what the fuck's going on. For the longest time, I avoided getting the logic because I was afraid of like not knowing what to do and like, oh, it's advanced and shit. What am I going to do? I'm not going to know. I got to hire a fucking audio engineer and shit.
Right.
And then it was fine.
You'll figure it out.
My guy, he helped me set it up like the first time ever. So he like kind of preset it for me.
As long as you can get like an initial benchmark, and then if it gets fucked up, you can at least go back to that benchmark. It'll be all right.
Yeah, well, I did fuck it up. I deleted what he saved for me. And then he had to come back. He's like, look, this is what I'm going to do. You literally can't fuck this up. And so far, so good. So
That's good.
all right, bet. Well, you got a little intro there, but this is Robert Peppo, Uncensored, and this is podcast number 33. All right, we're fucking rolling here. Today, super cool one. I got a bunch of guests in the house, as you see. Super stoked. I got Brad and Skyler here, and of course, Alex, my wife. Most y'all know her. But yeah, we're just going to get into it today. I didn't really name it, but I was going to call it like business owner smash up or some shit.
Yeah.
To make it sound cool, because we all own businesses, different genres, and we're going to kick it. So super easy intro. Y'all fucking introduce yourselves, a little bit about you. Whatever you want.
My name is Brad. I own Accurate Irrigation and Plumbing, Inc. Plumber by trade. Do a lawn sprinkler work is my niche. So service, maintenance, whatever. Done it for 22 years. Have a pretty large customer base and am growing and going through growing pains. So it's a good time.
Yeah. I'm Skyler. I own Electric Hair Lounge in Orland Park, now Tinley Park. And it's a hair studio that I create all kinds of really rad, like vivid colors. I want to do shit that nobody else does. And it's a pretty cool little area. I've been in it for 7 years, and it's a pain in the ass being your own boss.
I'm Alex.
Bad bitch.
I knew that is exactly what would happen. So if you see me grabbing it, I knew she'd be like, yeah, I'm done. Take this shit.
Yeah.
So I'll be the one speaking on behalf of the Peppo's crew, okay? And Alex will chime in as necessary.
She'll give the sarcastic comments.
Yeah, and we can still pick some of that up. So just because it's in your face, we can still hear it. So we'll get some of that. And if I knew how to use this, I'll fucking like raise that part up, make it loud.
Yeah.
So
You can fix it in editing.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, I can't
Future
because I don't do that.
Don't tell them.
No, like I can sync it. I can sync the video and the audio, so I'm getting there.
All right.
Baby steps.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
I do want to take this to the next level, you know. So I do want to like have my audio engineer guy, my friend Larry Anthony, who's awesome. Did a podcast with him, but he's busy too. We're all busy, you know, as y'all know, doing this shit and what we normally do.
It's stressful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
talking about that shit in the kitchen, right? Just going over everything we fucking go through, and that's why I wanted to do this. Like I even said, fuck a podcast, but because it's awesome and we're dropping fucking gems in the kitchen. Even when you guys were here on the 4th, just dropping that shit,
Right.
and I have it in my notes to like the never do's or what was it?
Never do.
Never-
The never
Never
agains.
agains.
The never
agains
agains.
in
We'll
business.
Never
probably
agains in business. There are so many. We kind of went over them earlier. We just like rattled through them. But do we want to get into the never agains?
Oh, I don't give a fuck because we can probably hit literally almost anything just chopping it up.
Yeah.
The for me, the never agains in business to work for somebody else. There was a time frame when I had my business. My partner at the time retired. I decided that being in business solo is a lot of work, and I would just take my book of customers and go work for another company, almost like a hairstylist changing salons kind of mindset. And then you realize when you work for somebody else, you realize why you should never work for somebody else.
I always say that I'm a really good business owner, but I am the worst employee you could ever possibly have. Like, if you tell me, oh, like I say, hey, I'm going to take this day, or like, I'm going to take this vacation, and they say, oh, no, you can't do that. I'm like, okay, well, you better plan on somebody else being here because I'm not going to be here.
Well, that's like the thing we deal with all the time.
Really?
Since y'all work for yourselves, but
Yes.
how many employees do you have?
2 now.
Okay.
Very recently 2.
Right.
Like within
And
the
you?
past 3 months.
Absolutely none.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have cycled through hundreds and
yeah.
usually have like 15 at a time or something. So we understand this part of it because that's how we function.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. But then they want to function like that as well.
Yeah.
So it creates this dynamic. We can't do shit without them.
Right.
Right. We have a ton of people that we need staff for. Right. If we tried to do it ourselves, we could 150 hours a week or however many hours are in a week. What, like 160 or some shit? Yeah, no. So we have to balance that dynamic. So, as you grow, you were just talking about this, you'll have to deal with that.
Right. And what I was asking them is how do you take your business that is your little baby, and how do you delegate parts of that business to other people that, just they're employees. They're there to, do a good job for you, but it's not their...
They don't have skin in the game.
Yeah, they don't have any skin in the game, really. So how do you let them do that? How do you let them become part of the team and be a part of that picture so you can grow and keep the train rolling?
Yeah.
That's-
It's one of the hardest parts of growing for sure. But if you've already taken the leap to be your own business owner, right? Your own boss, your own shit, you kind of know the things you have to take control over. Whether you like to do it or not, there's elements of the business we have to do. Or we hire to handle that part of the business. Like, why do we have an accountant? Because he's an accountant by trade, and he's good at that. And we trust him with that.
Right.
So there's things that maybe only you will do. Let's say the initial sprinkler system check, like when you come over here.
Right.
So you've done my sprinklers.
Yep.
You do the initial check, but when you have an employee, next year when all I need is a turn on or a quick service, they can do those kind of things, perhaps. And then they work themselves up, perhaps, and hopefully they will get to the level where they can do just as much as you do.
Well, and that's the goal is to get them to that level. And, for me, it's like, how do we go from A to B? The way I picture it, it's like this. But
Fuck these
we would
glasses.
like it to be very streamlined, so
Is anything in business very streamlined?
nothing.
Absolutely not.
Especially not at the beginning.
No.
Right? Not when you're first taking that initial step for the employees, right?
Even
Right.
7 years in right now, absolutely nothing is a straight line for me, at least.
Yeah.
Or 45 years in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
And that's time changes a lot of things, but you learn a lot. New things come,
Yep.
new ways to do some dope ass hair thing comes along, or you learn some new thing. I mean, that's what I'm doing all the fucking time, learning something new. Like, how the fuck didn't I know this?
Right.
I think that's key too. If you don't learn those new things, you die in business. Like, you have to learn the new, whether it's a part of your trade that, new technology comes in and makes it easier, or like you always have to keep learning in business, or else
Especially
you're
me
screwed.
for like a small business and not being in a salon. In a salon, you're constantly learning. You constantly have people coming in and teaching you stuff, teaching you classes. In a salon suite where it's just me and I have no employees, it is like you have to, as a business, you have to keep up with your license, first of all. And to keep up with that license, you need like 50 CEU, like continuing education hours. So you actually have to sit and like learn how to do something else, but you're on your own for that. Nobody else is going to provide that for you.
So how do you do that?
You kind of network with people that teach classes, people that have the license to give you those classes. I am very thankful. I work with a bunch of different color companies that are like, hey, we're doing this. Like, come do this. You get hours for it, Or even the stores I shop at, it's, hey, we have this virtual thing going on. Just log in and you get this hours and they teach you X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot of different avenues to do it, but like being somebody who's on your own, like you have to do it. No salon or no boss is going to do it for you or like provide that for you,
Is there like a platform you like to go to, maybe online or something, that you see like new trendy shit and you're like, damn, I got to do that. I got to try that. Oh, I've never seen that. Like, cause if you're on your own and like, let's say other stylists there would be pushing like the limits with you or something, which works for me, right? If I'm with somebody on the ground, they're doing some shit, I'm like, damn,
Yeah.
I got to up my game. But if you don't, do you like have like your go-to for something like that?
Honestly, I'm way behind on the times. Instagram, man, like Instagram.
That's not behind.
Reels.
They're still a
I
fucking
feel,
leader.
You know, Brad always tells me like, dude, you got to get on TikTok. Like, you got to do. You know,
he's right.
That's the cool like young people thing is TikTok now, and I'm like, I'm old as shit, man. I don't know how to do any of this.
It's young and old now. Of course,
I
it
don't-
started young,
yeah.
whatever.
Well, that's the key. Like it starts young. Like the trends always start really young, and then
Right.
you got to jump in on them. But
Like, I'm too old for that. But
yeah.
Instagram has reels that like
Instagram,
they
yeah.
just sit and teach you shit. So it's like you don't get the hours for it, but it's one of those of like, oh, I want to try that. Like, and then I get somebody like Alex, and I'm like, hey, really quick, I'm gonna borrow your head for this appointment, and I'm just gonna like make you just let it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm one of the easiest. I'd
You
say.
are,
Let's
yeah. You're just
do
like,
it.
all right,
Whatever.
do the head, do the thing. I don't care.
It's only gonna last a little bit, then you can redo it again.
I think so far it's worked. We've been okay. Yeah.
Well, she shows me things. I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking know. I'm like, if your hair doesn't look like that now and that shit looks crazy, how am I going to know if that's achievable or if it looked good?
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't fucking know.
That's
Look
funny.
at me. All right. I'm not the one.
Yeah.
All right. But
that's funny. I have in the plumbing community, there is a massive Instagram following and guys that from all over the country that post, you know, daily content, you know, stories and stuff that we keep up with. And then there'll be like large, massive trade shows and we'll, you know, like I'll go. Like, you know, I think it was in March, I went to the Wet Show in Indy. So I get to meet with like all these people in real life that we're all internet friends. And that's what, when you're like her, like even for me, I now have employees, but for the most part, I'm like a small guy. I don't have other plumbers in a shop being like, hey man, check out this cool tool I got, or hey, I did this job and I did it this way. It was way quicker. You should try that. But Instagram has been a great resource to find guys from different parts of the world do the same kind of trade and do it differently. And you're like, oh shoot, I should try that. That's way better than how I'm doing it. So
yeah, fuck yeah.
it's been kind of cool.
Bridges the gap, right?
Yeah.
We say it's for the young people, but we never had this. And now that we're utilizing it for us and for business or for the next level thing that we're doing, fuck that. There's no age,
Yeah.
Right.
right? It's just how are you using it?
Yeah.
Right.
Right? If you don't use it correctly, you'll be inundated with a bunch of shit, right? Or you can make it like I do. I purge the shit out of my social media. So it's only feed. My feed is only what I want to see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I will like, you know, I go a little too hard on like what I fucking control on there, but I have to, one, because we're busy and we're pretty goal focused.
Yep.
But then it adds to what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
And without that, that is our continuing education. For me, what would it be?
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know,
Boy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and what's weird about I just realized it the other day that, you know, I don't get into the algorithms or any of the stuff, but like
It's a nightmare.
there's, you know,
just
I-
listen to Gary Vee.
Well, right. I realized there's like missing content from like people that I follow, and like all of a sudden I was like, oh, of all things, it was actually my cousin, and like I was like, oh, maybe he's on vacation, maybe he hasn't posted shit, you know, and I'm like, what the hell? And I like searched his name, and I was like, no, he's posting stuff, but it's not in my daily scroll. It just wasn't showing up, and you're just kind of like, how much stuff am I missing that I don't even realize?
And that's why you have to purge.
Is being pulled out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
So-
did that a couple days ago where I went through my follow list. I try to keep it like mostly hair. I have a couple friends here and there, like even clients. I want to follow all of my clients are cool as shit. Like I want to follow their daily lives. I love them so much, but like I can't have all of that. That's not goal oriented hair shit on my page because then I'm just sitting there. Then I'm just on social media. I'm not learning. I'm not gaining knowledge. I'm not getting better at or like getting, what's the word? Inspired by the shit that I'm looking at, you know? Otherwise, it's just that doom scrolling of other people's lives. Like,
For sure.
I don't give a fuck about that. I give
Yeah.
a fuck about my business and what I'm going to do to make it better.
But so the reason like why we should be on there, why I post so heavy, is because a lot of people are doing that, and then they become like a follower is just one thing.
Well,
That's
those
cool.
people
Likes
have,
and
like-
followers, cool, but
They have like the 9 to 5s. So
Sure.
they don't have to be inspired by social media.
Sure, cool.
They want to
Right.
get away from that
Sure.
9 to 5 and look at our shit.
Cool,
Of like,
good.
oh, what are they doing?
Let 'em.
Yeah,
That's what we
right?
want.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to do.
yeah. But then how do we convert that into actually like being like our fucking tribe, right? Being like part of our shit, hiring you for actual plumbing. That then becomes the thing we got to bridge the gap to.
Yes.
Well, and I find, I don't know if you notice this, like, so I'm super busy right now. Super grateful that I'm super busy, but I don't have the time to post the content that I should. And I know I'm slacking in it. I always seem to post more content when I'm slower, which is like the worst time to post your content because then it's almost like a plea and a cry for help of like, hey, don't forget, I'm a plumber over here.
You yell at me for that all
I do. It's like I'm busy. I should be posting it because it keeps that train rolling. And a guy I follow, a plumber guy, he posts the shit out of his work on all platforms of social media, all his friends. He's like, yeah, I inundate all my friends with it. They hate it. But you know what happens? As soon as they need a plumber, they call me because my shit's in their face all the time. It's always there. It's just relentless.
Yep.
And he's like, that's how you have to be. Because
And I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't want to forget. When you do that, though, don't forget, not everybody sees everything you post. You think that you post a lot and everybody's seeing it, but they don't.
Yeah.
They're seeing all their other shit, too.
that's a good point.
So for every 10 times we post, somebody might see it once. Like maybe we got our friends and shit that'll see it all the time or whatever, but they really don't.
Yeah.
They're onto some other thing. Everybody else who's posting is doing the same thing that happens to us. It gets pushed, gets scrolled through. They don't see it as much as we do.
Yeah.
Right.
So like I used to feel that way too. Oh, I post so fucking much, which I've actually scaled back, but I do. But then I realized people aren't on every single day. They're not looking at my shit every day. As much as I think that they are, they're fucking not.
And if you think about it, you're on how often are you on there scrolling? You're on there for like 3 to 5 minutes.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, and then you close it out
Yep.
and go to the next thing. Like, so they might not hit your shit
Exactly.
in that 3 to 5 minutes.
That's
I
right.
even posted a set of 3 pictures. I think it was our wedding pictures, but like 3 different sets of 10. And like it showed me really how messed up the algorithm is because somebody would like one set and it's somebody that I'm like, oh, they would probably look at all 3 of them and like all 3 of them. They only saw one.
Yep.
They never saw the other 3 that I posted within an hour of each other.
Yep.
You know, so it's crazy how scattered that is.
Yeah. And there ain't shit we can do to control that really.
Absolutely.
Except for being heavy on it.
Right.
Consistent. Whatever.
Consistent is the key. It's really it. And
It's a full-time job.
It is. And I'm super guilty of.
How much do I use my shit every fucking day?
All day long.
But we have to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a full-time job, but that's where our businesses are on social, being shared, whatever the fuck it is. Social media is so big. We have to use it in whatever way you want, for
Yeah.
good or for bad, whatever. It's there. And as business owners, I mean, there's clients there, there's customers there, there's brand recognition there. There's, if people go to search you, they might pop up that Instagram populates first.
Yeah.
On a Google search, even. It might. For a plumber or whatever, who knows? So if a trending video fucking hits or something, that shit will populate in Google that shit is important. Somebody go look at it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hope it's mine.
Yeah.
If not, I'll hedge my bets that I'll fucking maybe land there.
Probably 5, maybe 10 years ago, in business, it was, oh, you got to have a business website. You got to have a good business website. Everybody goes to your website. Nobody gives a fuck about your website anymore. They want to see what your content is. What they want to look at your business Facebook page. They want to look at your business Instagram page.
They want to look at that grid.
They want to look at that grid and quickly be like, yep, in my case, yeah, he's changed the toilet there. Looks good. Like, he can do what I need done, It's that quick, instant gratification. And reviews. For me, reviews are everything.
For sure.
So, in Facebook, in Google, and all of that, because that's the next thing they check.
And fuck Yelp.
Yep. Yeah, well, yes. Fuck Yelp.
It's one of my favorite things about being self-employed is I get some problem clients, especially being in Orland Park and kind of on the hoitier side.
On
of
the
south
bougie side?
On the bougie side,
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
I get a lot of clients that are rough, and the amount of people I tell to go fuck themselves is unsettling. And it's like, in my head, he's like, you can't do that. And I'm like, what the fuck are they going to do? Leave a Yelp review? Like, I don't have a fucking Yelp page. Go ahead. The fuck do I care? Like, I generate enough clients and, like, do enough cool shit that it's like, cool, one Karen didn't like me. Obviously, she's not going to fucking like me. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We've dealt with that kind of thing too. I used to care a lot, right? I used to want everybody to like us. It's never going to fucking happen.
Right.
Now, we don't say fuck you, even if we want to.
Well, I mean, I say it in a nice way.
I can say fuck you real nice.
With my pinky up, bitch.
Yeah. But even so, no matter what, no one will be happy 24/7. And I've totally went away with giving a fuck about the one out of literally hundreds we fucking get that are fucking totally good.
Have they had your food? It's so fucking good.
That's what I'm saying.
How do you
People are
not like it?
really silly sometimes. I was like, what's all that topping stuff?
That's flavor, Karen.
delicious.
Get the fuck out of here.
Where did you come? Right? Like, you did zero research.
I bet you eat Wonder Bread.
You didn't even look at our menu. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's so far and few in between. It don't fucking matter.
Yeah.
The funny thing, before I knew you guys, and I'm sure you probably know this, maybe you don't. the funny thing is, like, people that know who you guys are, and if it ever comes up, like, in conversation, if you're at a bar or whatever, be like, hey, Peppo, everybody goes, what's your number? Like, everybody wants to know, like, they judge you on, like, which sandwich you get. So it's the fun, like, I have a group of friends that grew up, like, in the Worth area, and that was always oh, yeah, no, Peppo's great. What's your number, man? You know? Like, and that was...
Would they be, like, shattered that I'm like, oh, I just eat the guts with a fork?
No,
Brings me
because so
some,
many
and I
people
just
fucking do
shovel
that.
shit in.
Do they really?
Yeah,
They just
all the
come in
time,
and just...
all day,
Literally.
every day. They come by
Every
jars.
hair appointment, she brings me guts. I tell her, I'm like, my breath is gonna be kicking in a second, sis, because I'm just,
Yeah.
it's literally me with a fork in the back, like color mixing area, just guts shoveling it in my face with oil dripping down my face. It's cute. She's into it, but
It's good.
yeah, man.
Give me that mic back. But yeah, every single day. So another extension of our brand that I will do at some point is getting it into stores. Like we were approached a while back about that, and we could. I don't know why we necessarily didn't do it back then, but probably because we opened the Tinley store and did all that shit. And I have unlimited ideas. So like, which one is it today, kind of thing. But definitely want to like bottle it, maybe get into Aldi or Costco or some shit somehow.
You do like Costco, like 5-gallon bucket size would be like
Done.
perfect.
Done.
And
Fucking
so-
done.
Just
know.
give me some floaties. Like I'll just fucking dive into that shit.
Yeah.
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 Count me in, chief.
But that's another business thing that you have to deal with is it's like I always say, we've done pretty good where we're at. And like we got enough money to do something, but we can't do everything, right? So like how are we going to do the thing that's going to make the rest of those other things we want to do happen? And that's why we're going to franchise because that then opens up all the other avenues. But it's like an interesting place when you're like small but good. Like, should we do something? Should we risk it? Should we not? And I mean, I've risked it a few times, and no one can really stop that, which is a good thing because it keeps us fucking going for something and not staying stagnant and growing just because by nature I'm fucking trying to do something.
Yeah.
But it's like a thing that if you don't do that, you might not ever grow. If you can't get yourself at least something, whether you want another employee or not, right? Numbers got to be good. And if you're going to fucking pay somebody and have somebody, or then they're not going to work because they get limited hours or can't make payroll or some shit. Or for you, if you want an assistant, you know, you go into a new salon or a new suite and it's going to be fucking dope, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that might help. We don't know.
I felt stagnant for a while, like doing what I do. I had the same, my rent was the same for 3 years. Like my business was growing, but at a pretty slow rate. And for me, I was making enough that like I was comfortable. And that was actually just on my memories today was like, if you're comfortable, you're doing it wrong. Like you're not there yet. And even, we had kind of talked about different avenues of like getting more money in. Like just, for me, I'm a one-man show. I already work. Like I have clients texting me right now. Like I'm working all the time. There's no day off. There's no hour off. I have somebody texted me last night at fucking midnight. I'm in bed by 9 p.m. I didn't fucking answer her. But like I got people texting me at midnight. Like, so for us, it was, we kind of sat and brainstormed. It was like, okay, what's one thing that you can do on your own? And like, we kind of came up with merch. But even to take that little leap of like, fuck, I gotta invest this money in ordering. I think I ordered a minimum of like 3 to 5 each of whatever like mugs or coffee, whatever shit I was doing.
Like Peppo's tumblers,
yes.
shameless plug.
Go to your local Peppo store. I got like 3 of those. I got 3 coffee mugs, got like koozies, just little dumb shit. And I'm like, let me just like dip my toe in the water to see if people even want to buy this stuff. Because for me, it's the confidence of, do people actually want this? Like, is this something that they're even interested in? And even that like deep dive into figuring that out and what people want, that was like terrifying as a small business, and that investment was like, fuck, I really hope I get this back. But it's one of those, like you were saying, it's one of those risks you have to take if you want to grow.
Yeah. No, I like it. Like, in my opinion, try everything.
Yeah.
Like, literally try everything with reason, right? Don't fucking be silly
Right.
and overextend yourself or whatever, hurt yourself, whatever it is.
That's one of my never agains. There was a time period where, so plumber, do plumbing, do lawn sprinkler stuff. There was a time period where it's like, I can do everything. General contractor, like you name it, I'll do it. Like you want to build out a commercial storefront, I'll do it. That's cool. And
So, Al, were you going to use Brad for some shit or?
no, you don't.
Brad will tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I learned. So the never again is never again.
Yeah,
my lane is plumbing and irrigation, and I need to stay in that lane. And I can expand vastly in those avenues. I don't need to try and be the guy that does everything because you can't do it well. So that's definitely one of my never again.
You were spreading yourself super thin, especially in like winter months when you're not
Yes.
busy with sprinkler stuff. Like you truly, when we first started dating, you're like, I'm traveling to Michigan to go do this contracting thing, and I'm like, you don't do that. Like that's not what you enjoy. Why are you doing that? And he was like, I don't know why I'm doing it because I
can't
like
say
money.
no to-
yeah, because he can't say no.
I can't say no to work or
Dude,
people.
your no's protect your yeses, right? So like you have to flex that no sometimes.
Yeah.
We got caught in that whole bunch of shit.
I need a T-shirt that says that.
Boom, merch.
That's the
What's up, dog?
There you go.
No, and that's key. That's another one too, is the learning to say no, learning to say no to customers, setting those boundaries of you don't respond to that text from the customer at midnight because then they think it's okay. You know, I had 4th of July weekend, 5:30 in the morning on a Saturday, the first weekend I had off in months, whatever.
Since
my phone's blowing.
beginning
Hey
of
man,
spring.
this is leaking. You know, like lawn sprinkler, like leaking. Like it's a holiday weekend. It's a lawn sprinkler. Like it'll be okay.
Yeah.
You know, it can wait till Monday.
But again, it's that people think like their thing right now is the most important thing. And to
Instant
them it is,
gratification.
right? And we can acknowledge that to some point, but we're human too.
Yeah. Right.
We're real people with real lives and real business and
But
other things.
Can you also agree, or like in your experience, like you're always like you're a person, but you're also always a business.
Always,
Like
yeah.
you are a business, you know, like he is a business.
Yeah.
And we definitely like have a problem disassociating. Like you're a person and a business, like you have to separate that because you get the text at 3 a.m. that you have, you know, you feel like you have to answer. Or there was a time at one point where like it was your birthday and like you were answering text messages and
Yeah.
calls, or like, you know, on big holidays you'd be answering people.
On
and
the
I
way
would
here,
get so
you
mad
were-
at you. I'm like, fucking put it away. We're at a family party. Can you not right now? You know, like
On the way here, phone's blowing up about stuff. You were talking about,
me.
yes, something, and I wasn't paying attention because I was like, oh,
Far
it's
out.
work stuff.
We want to know what's
Good
cool
to know.
about us. It's not that at all for us. And this is why I love this. Our customers don't call us.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't got our personal numbers.
Right.
We don't got to deal with that. 6 o'clock comes, shut that sign off.
Yep.
Yep.
Out of here. So the phone will ring at the store. Maybe we'll pick it up if we're there.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're there. So
Yeah.
nothing changes for us.
Right.
We haven't shut off till we leave.
Yeah.
Right. I do not so good of a job as shutting it off as Alex does. She can separate it. But it's because this is me.
Yeah.
Right. Alex is an innocent bystander in
Alex
my
doesn't give a fuck.
but she can separate that, and
Right,
that's
yeah.
what makes this work.
Yeah.
Because I don't turn it off necessarily, and perhaps balance is good. But with my ambition, I think about it like this: is an Olympic athlete balanced? Probably not, because they are so dead set on this goal that is their goal, and if they achieve that, that's whatever it is to them. And although I like the balance, I've built it in now. So you guys have that coming to you 24/7. We don't. So that's like ours is built in when we're off.
Yeah.
And like there's some things I won't miss, like working out. That is my balance. I won't miss it. Like I'll do that either early in the morning when I'm not interrupted, right? Or at night. Riding the Harley.
Yep.
Nobody can interrupt me.
You
Being
can't
on the
do
boat,
anything, yeah.
shut that shit off or whatever the fuck it is to
Exactly.
you. Alex can shut it off all the time. But that's probably because I handle it somehow. I'm like,
I think, I mean, it's almost a gift that you can shut it off because then
Yeah.
you can kind of like compartmentalize and walk away. I'm learning like time frames to shut it off. They come and go. I mean, like you said, on the boat, like I don't really think about work,
Yeah.
you know,
Our
or
phones go in the glove compartment. It's like, nope, we're done. We're on the
floating,
water.
you know, like, and that's the time when it just kind of stops for a minute. But
yeah. Or us built-in vacations too. Like we close for a week every December, no matter what, without fail. We will never not do that. We're always closed Sundays. We'll never go back to that.
That's one of our never agains is never Sundays. Like,
Yep.
I think we still, you know, we're still kind of trying to handle that, but, you know, every once in a while we're like, fuck, well, I just got to answer this one text. Like, I just have to do this one thing. But for the most part, like, we don't work on Sundays.
No.
That's actually the only day we ever get together. Like, a full day is Sundays.
Yep.
And that's one of my never agains. At one point in my career, I literally worked 7 days. Alex knew, like, I was working 7 days a week in 2 different states. And I looked like a skeleton. Like, I was exhausted. And that was my one of never again, man. I need at least one day. I can hustle for 6 days a week, 12-hour days. I don't give a shit. But one day has to be, especially with new marriage, like family, whatever, like you gotta shut it off. And I want whatever Alex does, like just like rub off on me a little bit because I need that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was always like that because when we had the 2 stores, it was pretty hard to shut it off then.
Yeah.
I think she.
Longer hours, double the load.
Longer hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we were open Sundays, 7 days a week.
Wow.
Wow.
It was a lot.
With long hours during those days too.
Right.
Now were you at one and were you at the other?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we didn't
So
see
yeah,
each
so
other.
you're
Right.
taking
at all.
on that load, he's taking on that load, and it's
Right.
just wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
There would have been a lot of back and forth, but like we would split time. If I was here, she was there.
Yeah.
Here. We would be together at some points, but just by the very nature of it, she's the best one. She'd be there. If
Yeah.
I'm the best one, I'll be over here managing whatever the fuck's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why that model doesn't work for us anymore. Why there has to be an owner operator type of franchise for us, especially at the beginning,
Yeah.
because we already know
Yeah.
what that looks like.
Well, and it's even like, I think I've talked to you about it at one point, or, I talked about, even just talking about having an employee like have a skin in the game. The beauty, I think, of franchising is it's a built-in somebody who has a vested interest.
their business.
And yeah,
Right.
it's their business.
Yep.
And they want it to grow just as much as you want it to grow.
Yep.
And you're there to help them do that. So it's pretty cool,
The cool thing for us with that, and you guys will probably get there, is that we have a long history, right? So people are also buying into that,
Yep.
okay? So that helps a ton for us. But they're also putting their money up, right? And you probably want your money back.
Right.
So how do you do that? Well, make it good,
Yeah.
right? And put your time in to get it back.
Yeah.
And that will happen. So, I mean, to me, the franchise thing, whatever anybody says, it's not yes, it the fuck is. It is your business.
Yeah.
This is yours, and we are not running it for you. We will train you. We will assist you. We will be there to support you. But this is yours, and it is as good as you want it to be. And hopefully they perform better than our stores.
Yeah.
I fully think there's some locations that will outperform our Peppo's one store.
Right.
I would
Like-
probably agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Payless Hills is a good location because we've been there for so long. It's saturated with residential and schools and business, but it is not the best community demographic-wise. If you just run the metrics, it's not.
Right.
Let's say Chicago would probably fucking crush it.
Yep.
Chicago, like by a train station. Are you
Right.
kidding? Like
Even with
literally
reduced
everybody's getting
hours.
a fucking sandwich before
Yeah.
they get on that train.
Yeah.
Or they're grabbing it like, oh fuck, I get to stop at Peppo's I'm like on my way home. Like how cool is that? Bring that shit home, or like
Yeah.
grab it before that would kill it truly.
Yeah, so like, why wouldn't you want that,
Yeah.
right? If you're going to invest in something that's
Right.
proven to work, fucking max that shit out. We'll help you do that. We're going to help you do it. We'll
Yeah.
be partners with you for sure.
Giving
Yeah.
you the tools to do it.
Yeah, but we can't run them both at the same time. Again, we don't want to.
Right.
We made more money than we ever had, and it didn't matter.
Wasn't worth it.
Right.
That shifted my perspective because my whole thing was be a fucking millionaire. Be a
Right.
fucking millionaire. We're going to fucking... And then it
what?
was like, fuck all that.
Like you
Right.
said, there's
For
there's
what?
only so many hours in a week. You're only 2 people. Even like her, like with her business, my business too. Like she can only physically work so many hours in a week. You can only take on so many clients. I can only do so many jobs in a day. If I want to make more money, I need to bring in other people, have more people do those jobs, and that's how you grow.
Or if, like you said, your phone's going off all the time, you have a ton of clients, good to go, you could raise your prices. Clearly there's demand, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Supply and demand. If you're the fucking chick doing that shit,
Yeah.
you could.
Yep.
There's no problem with that.
It's always the fear of like losing those OG clients. Of
course.
That have, I mean, I know like there's my core group of clients. They're like, I don't give a shit what you charge me. I'm here. Like I'm with you. I'll follow you. They followed me Chicago, Indiana, New Lenox, Orland Park, Tinley Park. Like they've been all over with me. But it's raising your prices is like, oh shit, what about that Karen that Karen that's there every 4 weeks? It's boring shit, but it's bread and butter. And you lose her because you raise your prices $5-10.
Sure.
And then he always reminds me like, hey, dude, you don't fucking want those clients. Those aren't the people you want. Those aren't the people that are paying your bills,
And only you can decide that. But it's the truth though, right?
It is.
100%.
You,
It's just a hard truth to swallow,
it is.
Yeah.
But we had to raise our prices a couple times this year. The market is what it is. This is the most volatile thing we've ever seen for 45 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I look at sales, I put a little TikTok about this. I don't just look at the raw numbers because if we increase prices and our sales go up, that's artificial.
Right.
Our customer count is still growing on delivery apps, in-store, phone orders, whatever it is, it's still growing. So we're like, well, fuck, we're clearly doing something right.
Right.
And we don't put any money into advertising or anything. So our customers are fucking loyal,
Yeah.
right? And they like what we do. We deliver a good product with a good service. If you do that, it really shouldn't matter. But here's the other part. What you're doing, if you continue to increase your skill, giving you a good product, they're happy with their haircut, their hairdo, whatever it is, they're going to pay for it.
Their hairdo. I like that.
What do you call it? I'm slacking.
It's just, it's very like, yeah, hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. We're bringing it back.
Well, what is it? Is there something else I
should be it? calling
Like
What
a
do you
hair,
call it?
hairs. I don't, their hair.
There you go, hairstyle.
Period.
Hairstyle, yeah.
I don't know either.
Coming,
Cute. Remember
coming
that.
from the guy that needs the haircut.
I don't know. You know
Keep,
anybody that can
rock
cut
the
hair?
hats. You don't
Yeah.
need a
I have to go to
haircut.
Sport Clips and get this.
And that's how we got
shit.
divorced.
You know,
And this podcast is
Yeah.
done.
record scratch.
That's fine.
I get, sorry.
I'm in the same boat with the raising the prices, but today we reached 666 customers, and I was like, well, hopefully somebody else calls and we can change that number a little bit. It doesn't sound too.
Do you want me to hit you
Sounds
up?
like a lucky
If you
number.
want, you're in the system, so you're one of the 666.
Shit.
But you know,
Am I?
Alex?
no, yeah, we can add. We'll
Hey,
Just
shameless
bounce it
plug.
out.
Call Brad right now. Brad, what's your phone number?
It's 708-532-4664.
When we get off this, well, after it's posted, because it's not live right now, it better be up to 667.
Yes,
Or fucking
please.
700.
Please.
Please.
I do a religious podcast, so it's got to kind of go. Anyway,
It's
I
got to
think-
get
I
off
think
that
that's
damn
even better.
number.
it does.
I think 666 is even better with your religious podcast.
It is because it's a very weird religious podcast. But anyway,
Do you want to plug it right now just because you're talking
we
about
should
it?
I do the Lions Den podcast. There's 4 very large, tattooed, scary individuals that have been through it and have done a lot of shady shit. That we get together and we chit chat about mental health and life and well being and faith and all that kind of stuff. So Lions Den 146 on pretty much all the YouTubes and social medias and all that kind of stuff. So check it out. It's interesting. It's a cool format. It's honestly therapeutic for us to kind of do it, almost like this, where you just sit around and you
Absolutely.
just start like talking about shit you've been through and work and life and all that. So it's cool. But yeah, check it out. But anyway,
Sweet. Link will be in the description. I'll tag all of them and everything just because that's how we got to do it. But
far out.
Far out.
Thanks. The raising the prices thing. I'm in the same boat. I have all this group of customers that I've had for well over 20 years, and I know I could raise my pricing, and a large chunk of my customers would be like, as long as you're still doing it, I don't give a shit what it costs. But there are those people that they would bitch, and I do like a retirement community, and they're all on fixed income, and I know they would probably try and look for service elsewhere. And there's that part where you're just like, I don't want to lose, that number's growing. You look at those numbers in business and you're like, that number, that customer count, it's growing. I don't want to lose those people. But your bottom line would be much higher because you're getting a better quality customer that is going to want you to service their plumbing or irrigation or their hair or whatever, and they don't care what it costs. You know, it
do you
doesn't
think you
matter
can
to
do a
them.
tiered thing? Oh, you've been with me. This is what you do. I know what you do every time. I can lock you in for that. But anybody who calls for a new service like that, for one, they won't know that person's service, what you're fucking charging them.
Right.
But you will. And when you put in the system, whatever you do, however you track it, that same service for that new client will be more because it has to be due to you and the market and material and fucking whatever.
That's a good point. I could, very simply, probably.
there you go.
Yeah, see? I could do that.
Fuck it.
See what happens when you talk to people in business? You learn
Talking's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And podcasts are cooler because then you learn shit. So anybody listening can also pick up on some shit.
Correct.
From
Yeah.
3 different people, well, 4 different people, but 3 different industries, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know fucking everything. I have to learn. There's no fucking way. I thought I knew everything at one point. And I read a book for the first time ever in my life, like age 24, so like quite a while ago. And it literally changed my life. Like literally I thought like I'm the fucking man. I've been through this shit. I know what I'm doing. This business has been in my life fucking my whole life. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that.
I feel like there's a moment as a business owner, no matter what industry, no matter what flavor industry you're in, where you get humbled real fucking quick.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, I don't know shit about fuck. Like, I know nothing. And I feel like that changes you for the rest of your business career or the rest of your life of like, oh, no, I don't know. I don't know anything, and I have a lot to learn, no matter how old you are, no matter 7 years, 20 years, 45 years, like, no matter what it is, like, you get humbled real quick.
That could be a thing or a person doing that to you.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was my book, and then the other one was taxes. I learned taxes the hard way.
So
Okay.
we're in that right now.
Yeah, for sure. But you have to go through it because you don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was lucky enough to learn it the hard way, but have a mentor also. So it was like I learned the thing, and then someone schooled me.
Right.
And I sort of was not lucky to have that, but I kind of put these two people that I had looked up to, like as my people I knew I would go to if I needed it. And then I fucking did. And they kicked me the fucking truth. And I never made that mistake again, which was expecting to make a lot of money and just, it was all mine. At the end of the year, I'm a business owner and we just did really fucking good. And I literally have to pay all of it back now.
Yeah.
I literally have zero left.
There's that humbling.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's that humbling right there.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And that's the thing that the people on Yelp don't see.
They'll
when
never
they're
see
like,
it.
I went to Peppo's the other day and I believe they're charging X, Y, and Z for a sandwich. That's nuts.
They'll
Like,
never
but
see it.
They don't understand all the back end costs. Just like me, they don't understand that gas is $6 a gallon for me too, and I got to get to your house to do the work. And your materials have gone up through the. You were telling me your gloves are.
Alex and I
crazy.
had this conversation, I think, right when we got back from COVID.
Right.
You were telling me roast or beef was
crazy.
through the roof. And then we were talking about gloves. Like, I used to pay, what was it, like $10 a box?
Yeah,
For
and
me,
they
you
went up
guys
to,
buy
like,
in bulk. But
90
yeah.
a case.
For a case. Mine was, it was $10 a box. It's $25 for a fucking box of gloves now. And it is, holy shit, like, I can't keep up with it. And I tell
your
my
foils
client,
you were
my
talking about
foils,
before.
oh my God, again, $7 a box, $20, $21 for tin foil.
Yeah.
Like, this is stupid. This is so not.
10-foot stick of copper used to cost me $18.
Yeah.
It's now $50-something
Holy
dollars.
fuck. When does it stop, too? Like, when does it stop going up? When does it?
is this a political podcast or not?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Of just like, when does it, when does
You're-
it stop affecting your business?
Yeah.
Of how much shit costs, or where does it cap out? Does it
Let me
cap
get
out?
It doesn't.
Or you're just screwed
but
forever.
I think you have to be so on top of it
Right.
because, like in my industry, I don't. Maybe your guys' industry too. People are just like, well, I charge this because that's what my competitor charges, and you can't. Like your costs are different than their costs, and you have to really be aware in business what your costs are, or else you're not gonna make any money.
I say all the time, you're not paying for that 45-minute haircut. You're paying for the 7 years that it took me to perfect that
Facts.
45-minute haircut.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I have a hard time with that because I've done what I do so long. I do stuff very quickly. So, the initial reaction is like, oh, well, we charge by time. Like I charge flat rate because I work way quicker than somebody else just because it's 20 years of experience. Same thing.
Right.
Like it took me
You're
this
paying
long.
for that 20 years
Yeah,
instead of that 45 minutes that you're doing it.
correct.
See, like I'd pay for result. I don't give a fuck how long it takes.
We were just talking about that in the kitchen of,
Yeah.
I understand if you don't want to do that. And you're like, no, like you got it done. Here you go. Take
Yeah.
my money.
Yeah.
You guys will love this. The fucking 1 to 9, 1 to 10. Okay. The best shit ever for you guys. Put this in perspective. Fucking think TikTok for this one. All right. So for like us, we were trying to get from like 1 million to 10 to 100. Okay. So we're like here stuck kind of maxed out where we are.
Yep.
From here to the 10 million or even 100 million, there's 9 million in between that first step. Okay. That's where we're at right now. Whatever it cost us to get to 1 to 10, there's a 9 million gap. Whatever it costs of infrastructure investment, let's say 100,000, but that gets us to 10 million. That's cheap.
Yeah.
That's fucking cheap. So it's the same thing with this franchise shit. This shit is not cheap. These attorney fees are ridiculous.
I bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we're like, yo, but it can get us so much farther. This is actually not a big cost.
Right.
If we miss out on that big thing that could change our whole family's fucking life and make this whole thing happen. So now, just this week, I mean, I've kind of had that perspective, but I didn't see it this way. I got this fucking huge gap now to play with because we know what can come on the back end if we just get a couple more stores going.
Right.
We fucking know what we've done over the years. Now my input on this has changed completely because of that one little diagram.
Yeah.
And it was a straight arrow that said 1 million, 10 million, 100 million.
Yeah.
There's big gaps. And whatever your investment is to hire a consultant, you're like, I used to think, oh, consultant fee, holy shit. That person wants like $5,000 to tell me what to do. I know what to do. But what if they've done this before?
Right.
That's
and guess
cheap.
what? When you're at that 10 million, that $5,000 or $100,000 or whatever, you're like, it's pennies. What is that? I
Literally.
invested. That was it. That was all I had to pay to get
Yep.
me to here. And you're
Yep.
like, oh shit, I should have done that a lot sooner.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now that doesn't mean you can get reckless or anything, but
Right.
you can now start to think about it differently so you feel better about it and know you're getting something on the back end.
Right. It
Yeah.
gives you a goal. It gives you that light, that thing at the end of the tunnel that you're shooting for, and makes it very obtainable.
Yeah.
So,
And if you're not going into it blind, like if you have a goal to look at, like me, I'm real structured and like my goals, I write them every fucking day and shit. Like, and when I say like 100 million, I want to sell the company for, that's what I mean. And so like getting there is what I'm looking for. And so like I make it real because some people are like, oh, I want to grow the company, but what does that actually look like?
It's that middle.
it's the middle.
It's when
the
you're
middle.
when you're in the middle, but you can still clearly define it.
Yeah. Yep.
Like if you want 5 employees, because that'll make it better. 2 more trucks on the road, because that'll make it better. You'll get to the income level you want to, so your freedom becomes what it is, and those guys are working those jobs, so you don't have to.
Right.
What does that look like? And like for us to get to this franchise point, I had to do that every fucking day since Afghanistan. Since Tinley store. Since we closed the Tinley store, because I'm me, I knew what I wanted to do eventually and how that would work. But I joined the Army late and did all that. But when I decided to do it again, it was like 2 full years, maybe 3, of literally detailed defining that shit. And now we're in it. But you got to do that kind of specifically. How are you going to get another truck? And like lay it out, write that shit out. Like
Yeah.
talk it the fuck out.
It's like that meme with the guy with the strings on the board, and he's just all like wired out because he's trying to map this way. That's what owning
Yeah.
a business is.
It is.
For
And
sure.
I mean,
Sitting there
every
being
day
like,
I'm
what the
like,
hell
I
is
need
going
to
on?
put another truck on the road. Like I always like, I need this, or I need this
Facebook
tool.
marketplacing,
or I need this, or
trucks.
scrolling or whatever. But you're right. You almost saying it is one thing, knowing you need to do it, but until you sit down and go, to do this, I got to do A before B before C, and it gets me D. Like that's huge.
So I just worked backwards at it. I put 50 stores up here and 100 million. And now how the fuck do I get, what would I have done if I did that? And I worked backward, what I could do. Okay, systems, processes, fucking checklist, fucking whatever. All the way up there. And I'm like, oh my God, we're done. We like built this shit. We like legitimately built it in a fucking binder, like word for fucking word, like legitimately did it. It took a while.
Where between now and when you actually hit that, you're like, okay, turn the page. This is next. Turn
Literally,
this page,
that's
this is
literally
next.
how it is.
Yeah.
I should have brought it to fucking describe it, but that is how it
Yeah.
is. It says Peppo's corporate fucking franchise plan on it, and it's step for step of what the fuck to do.
Fucking corporate, yeah.
Yeah,
Shit.
I should have added the fucking in there
Yeah.
because that's our vibe.
Mine's on a lot smaller scale than
No.
you guys, but for me, it was, I want this bigger space. I want a better space. I want to provide my clients with a better environment. And it was like, all right, him and I sit down. How do we get there? Let's figure out how we get there. Well, this space that I want is however much it was. I think at one point it was like, oh, like $2,000. All right, so what does that break down to? How much do I have to make a week? How much do I, all right, then what is that? That's an extra haircut. That's an extra color. That's 2 extra colors. That's whatever it is. And that's been, for me, I didn't do that until I sat down with you. I've never been with or been surrounded by other small business owners, And when him and I got together, he literally brought into perspective of break it down. How many more haircuts do you have to do? How many more colors do you have to do to get where you want to get? You do that, and then you add a little bit more on top of that. That's where you get your bullshit money, your spending money, It's wild. It's not something you think about until someone's like, hey, dumbass, do this. You're like, oh, fuck, that was easier than I thought.
In all reality, you're going into a new space, but we looked at a bigger space that would be very cool, but it was just, when you run those numbers, it was just a little too,
It's
not
jumping
yet.
those stepping stones. You were going from 1 to 3 instead of going to that number 2. And you have to go to 2, otherwise you fall flat on your face in between.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys with business and the years that I've done it, they want to grow too quickly. And there's a part where you grow, where I call it, where you're treading water in business, where you're sustaining and you're growing, but you're not really making the money that you perceive. And you kind of have to tread water for a bit to get to that next step. And a lot of guys can't sustain that. And they end up failing, and
Absolutely.
and they find that the comfort zone in being small, and I want to get big, and they don't have that plan, that step by step, and they just
The fucking corporate binder.
the fucking
saying.
corporate binder.
Yeah.
So, but you have to do those steps. That was my point to all that.
Yeah. Long story long.
Long story long.
Even if you don't want to grow, just because my goal is what it is, doesn't mean, and I'm not trying to say I know fucking everything what people should do, but if you have that just for yourself, it then creates like a ease of mind or whatever, peace of mind that you have like, oh, okay, this is how my business functions. Big or small, it doesn't fucking matter. Business is the same. At any scale, like the principles are generally pretty similar.
Right.
How can we make some money?
Yep.
How do I get less stress, some freedom out of this? Whatever. Those are all pretty similar. Why else would you fucking take on these headaches?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and to go back to the never agains, one of the biggest issues with working for somebody else was I was not in control of my future. I was along for their plan and their ride and whatever their future was. I was just a cog in that wheel. And
But how do you change that for your employee now that you're talking about? How do you make them that person? How are they connected? How they got skin in the game? Because if you weren't,
Right.
you got to be that guy who gets them to do
Right.
that.
The amount of times that I remind him, like, hey, don't be, we'll call him Joe. Like, don't be Joe. Don't be what this guy was to you,
Right.
to this kid. Like, because this kid is where you were at a couple years ago. You know, like, don't do that.
Right.
Be the, what is it, the change? Be the
Brad.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Be the Brad. Red Dad Brad.
Yeah.
Red Dad Brad. Fucking right.
Isn't that good?
It's hard, but I have had talks with this kid and I also don't want to like string somebody along and be like, hey, here's this carrot that if you do this, you can get. It's like, no, I kind of have these goals and I'll talk like, our goal is to, semi-retire to Florida, I guess, at some point.
Fuck yeah. Florida's awesome.
Just to kind of I hate snow, man. Like, I just want it to be
He
warm.
gets so crabby when it's snowing. I'm like, man, I got to get you some warm weather. I can't.
Yeah.
He cranky.
Facts.
Yeah, he cranky.
Exactly.
Facts, yeah.
Yeah. So it's build a sustainable business plan here that
Pays for our life there.
pays for my life there, and that can still run, and I could have those people here running this.
I think for two control freaks like us, it's being able to trust those people. Same with you guys. I mean, you guys have to really trust your managers and your people that are running this, not for your franchise, but just your store and even Tinley, we are self-admittedly two insane control freaks, especially not so much with personal life, because it's one of those of like, everything's so crazy in our business that like our personal life is like, yeah, whatever, but we concentrate all that control into our business. So being able to, being comfortable with giving that to somebody else, oh my God, mind-boggling. Like we can't.
You just haven't done it yet, though.
I know.
Right.
It's not that you
No.
can't, and it's not
Yeah.
that it won't happen. It can,
We just can't wrap our minds around it.
Yet.
Yeah, and accept it.
yet.
Yeah.
But you will, and as soon as you see it work, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this
I
ain't.
should have done this a long time ago.
It was the weirdest moment for me recently. Somebody who does the back end, like the office side, answers the phones and scheduling, and
She's an angel.
She's awesome. And like, I was like, oh shit, I need to do this, I need to do this. And he calls first time. I was like, wait a second. I was like, hey, can you call actually, and do this? She was like, yeah, no problem. And I was like,
A lot of the times, too,
Well,
she'd be
shit.
like, I already did. What do you, I got it.
Right,
And he's
yeah.
like, oh, okay. The first true day that he came home, now this is the guy, he would go to work, 7 a.m. He would wake up at 6:40, like 6 in the morning, go to work at 7 o'clock, come home at 5 o'clock,
About.
and then he would work for another 2 hours in the office. So we would literally have, I don't wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning with him. I'm not a morning person. So
confirm.
he,
Neither am I.
yeah, see, this is why we get along. But yeah, like, so he would wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, be gone by 7, gone all day long, and then come home and work another 2 hours. And I'm like, the fuck, dude? Like, I literally got him for 2 hours of a day. And that, I'm needy as shit. Like, that was not going to work. That was not going to be good, So the first day that this angel of a woman came to work for Brad, he came home and he like sat at the dining room table, like straight up, just like this, and like looked around and was like,
Had no
I feel like
fucking
I
clue
don't
what to do.
He watched me make dinner. That is never, in the 4 years we've been together, that's never fucking happened. And he was like, I don't know what to do with myself right now.
no
I was like,
idea what to
just
do.
enjoy it. That's the joys of having other people work for you, man. Like, just enjoy it. You can have a second to have your own thoughts. And it's insane. It was like a big revelation for you to be like, oh shit, you're right. Like, I can have somebody else take over this responsibility and have not just 2 hours to yourself in a day.
Yeah, it was weird. It was really
even I was like, stop looking at me. Like, I don't do something else. I don't know.
You got shit you can do. You
Right.
got people to call.
Yeah, now you got to get back to that 2 hours of
Right.
work. The fuck?
Right. Careful for what you wish for.
Yeah,
right?
I guess.
But yeah, you're right. You know, you do, I guess, learn. You know, now I come home and I mean, I still do. It's now probably
It
about
never
an
stops,
hour.
actually.
You know, when I get home and I still do office end of stuff, but it's way less. You know, and if I could release a little more, it would be way less. You know, because she can definitely do more.
Yeah.
Even if it happens little by little, it's happening. Get a
Right.
little taste of it, a little more here and there. Same thing for us. Even like Leandra, who's awesome for us. It didn't just happen,
Okay.
right? And even my dad, when he had a bunch of employees, it didn't just happen where we had those good ones that stay on for long term and who wants to grow with us. Like right now, it's who wants to grow with us. Who is our fucking corporate team now?
Right.
What are our roles and responsibilities? And like, how do we manage all that? And so like, I'm really big right now on tying them into what we're going to do. Like whoever's on the team now, bro, if we do this shit,
You're made.
we're in.
Yeah.
Like it's like that little carrot out there too, but like I connect them with it because they know what we're doing. They know when we had our lawyer meeting. They know about the trademark stuff. They know about all the things happening because I connect them because we need them.
Right.
Right.
And that's their skin in the game is like, I'm promising you this shit because you've already seen what we do. They know who we are and kind of like my ambition and what we've done.
Right.
So they're like pretty in it, right?
Yeah.
But it's not theirs. So they can, of course, do whatever they want to do and all that. And we let them do that too. So like the cool thing about us is we're super flexible. So like, I want y'all to succeed because I wouldn't want no one to hold me back. Like, yeah, I want y'all on the team, but if it ain't for you, that's all good.
Right.
You know, we're cool with that.
Yeah, no
Do
bad
you. But I want them to stay. So I'm going to talk to them about what that looks like for them and
Yeah.
even real soon for us.
Because I would assume you would need to have a team together to, you know, almost as these stores open, you would need to send a team to set up and like run
Something like that, yep.
store to, you know,
Pretty
kinda,
basically
you know,
like that.
You know,
Yep.
kinda, so
Yeah, and we have our people who are going to do like the corporate side of stuff and like all the training, and then like who's going to be on the floor at Peppo is one, making sure that business doesn't like take a hit or fucking miss a step at all
Right.
Right.
with what we're doing. Like it can't, right? That's our
Well-oiled machine.
Yep. You know, which it is right now. That's why we can even do this thing. Because if we weren't ready, like I wouldn't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Because then it would just hurt the fuck got us here.
Yeah.
right.
But
And you are
That's
insanely
a good
lucky.
point, though,
Good.
too, about growing, but not having that vision to grow, but realizing you don't want to sacrifice what got you there. Because I think a lot of people in business do that. They see that carrot and they go after that, and in turn they forget about
Absolutely.
what got them there,
Yep.
and then that falls apart.
it could easily happen.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people say about restaurants like ours. Like, oh, it's going to change once you grow it. It won't be the same. And I would have thought those things too, except for when we had our Tinley store. We know like how that looked, what worked, what was good, what was bad. We learned all that and we improved upon it. That worked and it was good. And now we improved upon that also.
Right.
So to me, it's just going to get better.
As a customer, like not even knowing you then, like going to the original store and then I live in Tinley, so I was right there. And I go to Menards a lot. So I was like, oh, this is like awesome.
Yeah.
I couldn't. There was like no different. It wasn't like this tastes completely different. Like, no, it's the same. It's the same thing.
You want to know what is different? It was a different location, a different feel, different vibe. Like, it wasn't their old store they were used to, but it was
Right.
never going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? It doesn't matter. Like me, her, my dad, we were at both of them almost all the fucking week, all the same. Like,
Right.
but people were so used to one store for so long, it was different. And that's okay.
Yeah.
The product wasn't different. The guts wasn't different. The vibe, the atmosphere, where you're at, like, it is different.
Right.
Some people can't conceptualize those differences, so it's different.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the same. You're right.
Sometimes difference good.
It was good for us.
Yeah.
It was good for a young, old but young business and like us being young, doing something, trying something, flourishing. Like, motherfuckers, support that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Why do you want to hold us down and stay all the same fucking ever? Like,
Right.
your memories of the old store that my dad had in the 70s is never going to be, but your memories are never going to go away either.
Right.
But that's not, it's fucking 40 years later.
Right.
Like, it cannot possibly be the same as that.
Yeah.
For good or for bad, but for us, good, I
Right.
think.
You kind of said something that reminds me of a never again that you brought up as far as like support and friends. The amount of, I know like in your industry, especially like starting out, you did friends hair and whatever and come breaks or whatever. And as time has gone on, like your friends should support your endeavors. You know, they shouldn't be like, hey man, give me a free sandwich. You know, we're bros. Like,
Yep.
no, like, let me pay you more so you succeed.
100%.
Like,
Yep.
and if your friends are the other way, like, they're not really your friends. You know? So never again you said it, but never again is giving your friends like deals, you know, because true friends don't want deals. They just want you to succeed.
Yep.
So.
I started out at like Mario Tricoci and Aveda, and like I worked at these very large in Oak Brook, Lombard, like they were awful places. I do not vibe well with those kind of people, you know. And when I wanted to break away from that, we had a mutual friend that I kind of went and worked for, and she was in a suite, and I was like, this is what I want. Like, I can't work for people. Like, I'm a terrible employee. I'm awful. Like, self-admittedly, I'm the worst. Like, I wouldn't hire me if I were the only one left. And I was like, this is what I want. I want to get in a suite. And thank God my father is an angel and he has a city block long building that had an extra storefront. He's like, let's open up a salon in Chicago. None of my clients are in Chicago, but it's still one of those things of like, well, let me start bringing friends here, and then my friends will bring friends. And, you know, you kind of start this networking, but when you first start doing that, you're just so hungry and you just want to do hair and you just want content and you just want that experience that you start. That was the mistake I made, and one of my never agains is I was like, well, I'll do your hair on the super cheap just so I can do it, just so I can have the experience. And then it just kind of spiraled. And like, I have friends that like, I don't charge for their hair and I fucking should. But they always, you know, I have a core, you can kind of picture the people I'm talking about. I have a core group of friends that are like, well, at least like, let me throw you money as like a tip or whatever. And that makes up for it. But I still have people that are kind of trailing behind that are like, oh yeah, like, hey, thanks. And they never actually pay. And I'm like, motherfucker, like I just spent $7 on a pair of gloves,
Right.
$15 on a box of color, and you can't even do nothing for me. And it's just that lasting effect of the never again will I just give friends shit for free. Like they should be supporting your business if they're good friends, you know?
Yeah, well, it's like how you tried getting my hair. That one thing you're like, we can't do it. Or like you're like, okay, I'm not gonna charge you. I'm like, no,
Right.
that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well,
Just,
you know, I get it, and I
Charge
like you're an
properly.
angel, and because you're a small business, like you understand.
Right.
Like, no, I know you still did what you like. You just with hair, you know, you
Just
can't,
some
you just
people's
couldn't
hair
do it.
don't do
You
it.
just couldn't do it. Yeah, and it's like, well, right the second I can't do it, like I tried, and
Right.
you know, it's that bad habit, the small business bad habits of like, oh well, I can't, like I didn't get it, I can't charge you for what I
Right,
did
right.
then, and you're like, no, motherfucker, like
No.
you still did stuff, like I'm still paying, you still used all of this, like let me pay you for what it is, you know.
Right.
So, but it's weird, yeah, to find like other small businesses that are like, no, like I support you, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad was really bad at that. I'll say he was great at everything except for controlling those kind of situations.
Yeah.
He would give way too much for everything, for everyone, to the point that it hurt the business.
Yeah, my old partner was like that. It's those old school guys. Everything was done with like a handshake deal, kind of.
Yeah.
Even the ice cream shop we were at yesterday, we went to go get ice cream.
God,
This is
yeah.
my little, I'm so guilty. I feel so guilty. We walked up, it's cash only. It's one of those walk up ice cream places. All I had was a $10 bill, and we're like, fuck. And I had already ordered, and they had already started making it, and not realizing that with the tax and everything, it was going to be
Just
$13.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, no, don't worry about it. And Brad's like, oh no, we're going back tonight and getting ice cream
Yeah.
again
You
with
would
an
do
extra
that, yeah.
$10 to be
Yeah.
like, here, dude, sorry, we didn't know you were
Yeah.
cash only. Like
Yeah.
we never carry cash. But it's that old school, like, no, $3 isn't gonna make or break it. When you do that 15 times a night,
Yep.
that's
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
That's
It's
how
the
you can
compounding.
It's the old
It is.
school, like, don't worry about it. And it's like, no, like it's the compounded, like you can't do that. You lose so much money.
Yeah.
The other thing too, the never again's kind of on that level. Not even so much with friends, but if anybody's listening to this that's looking to start a business, don't be the cheap guy on the block. Don't sell yourself short right out of the gate, because you'll never, like I said earlier, everybody's cost of doing business is different. Like figure out your cost of doing business and your, what you need your profit to be. But just because I maybe charge X amount for this service, don't come in at $30 under me to get more work, because you're shooting yourself in the foot, you know, and that was a mistake I made early on. I know a lot of other contractors have made that mistake. I don't know, maybe in your industry, new restaurants open up, they don't maybe charge what they should for their product or the services, and it definitely hurts them.
Even the mutual friend that, I kind of took a clientele over from, like, she was fantastic. She was very, very talented, and she did not charge what she should have. And it was because she came from I don't want to say a lower income area, but like definitely a place where you don't charge a lot for hair we'll say down south, like, and I'm like, dude, you're so good. You can charge more. And it was I don't want to say lack of confidence, but like, you just come from where you don't charge that much. And it's like, no, dude, you're worth it. Like, know your worth and charge that. And don't be apologetic for charging what you're good at.
It's all of that. Not only what you have to charge
Right.
to cover your costs and be
Minimum.
profitable. Like, we are in business to be fucking profitable. We have to be, or we wouldn't be here.
Right.
But then also for what you're delivering. You're good at what you do. You're good at what you do. We believe we are good at what we do,
You're good
right?
at
And,
what you
there's a cost associated with being fucking good, right?
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And I don't, what does it say? Like, cheap isn't good and good isn't cheap or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But it's also like, we are good. We believe in ourselves. We
Right.
treat our employees good. We pay them well. Like, then you get good service and they give you a good product even when we're not there. Like, that's pretty fucking important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be Jimmy John's. I'm not competing with Jimmy John's and Subway. I'm not.
Absolutely not.
There's
You
a-
guys aren't even on the same level. So up until the last time, you've had their sandwiches a million times. I'm from Northside Chicago. I'm not I still use a GPS. I've lived here for 3 years. I have no idea where the fuck anything is. Can confirm. And you always brought me guts. I never had a sandwich until the last time. I think you were there, like, he brought me there and we got a sandwich. I sat down and I was like, this is the best motherfucking sandwich I've ever had in my life. You guys put yourself on a whole nother level. And now when we get other sandwiches, I'm like, this tastes like shit. Like, give me some guts, give me some good stuff, Like, you guys from the get-go was just like, oh, fuck, like, whole nother level of food, of service, of just, like, we just sat there and shot the shit. I didn't really know you well, and it was like, I talked to you for 5 minutes, and I was like, I love that guy. I could sit there for 25 minutes and talk to him.
Or an hour and 6 minutes so
An hour
far.
and 6 minutes, yeah.
Same difference.
But it's true, and that's kind of now we don't play off of the raising our price because we're different and delicious, right? That's my little tagline these days: different and delicious. But
DD, double D.
yeah, exactly. But we know our worth, and so I know that why people are coming to us because we are different. We are good. There's something we do that is different than everybody else. It's what made us successful.
Right.
And they don't need to, like, we're a sandwich shop, so is Subway. But I'm not competing with them. Fucking for sure, I know we buy better shit than they do. And I know they get a way lower price than us. So I'm not even going to try and compete with you. They fucking kill the market. They can command any price they want for their products. We cannot at all.
With their soggy ass bread.
Same thing, but like, I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm trying to compete to be the best sandwich shop fucking anywhere.
Yeah.
And I will go for that. And that means you might pay a little more for us.
I don't think I've ever like walked into your store with like, oh, I'm on a budget here. I'm a fat kid, man. I like to eat. So
Fuck
like,
me up.
it's like, so in my industry, one of the greatest things that I do is I work in different areas every day, which means on the rare case, if I have time to like stop and get food, it's like, well, where am I going to be around lunchtime? And if I'm in the Payless area, like, oh, fuck yeah, I know where I'm going.
Well,
you
we
know?
appreciate
and
that.
Like, and it's like that anyway, but it's never about like, I'm looking for
So-
who's got a dollar
Who's the
menu. You
cheapest,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like
so some
I
people
want
are, though.
good
And that's
food.
okay.
That's fine, yeah.
But we can't adjust what we do because of that.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely not.
You know?
Because you're going to get the fat kids like us that drop, $40, $50 on as many sandwiches we can fit in our fucking mouths. And those are the people that you want to accommodate.
And we get those every day.
Yeah.
Right. So we know there's a market for it.
Yeah.
Clearly, we've been doing this a long time and we're not slow.
Right.
So it's a okay thing. I used to fight with it a little bit. But now I'm like, we know we're fair.
Right.
Yeah.
We know we're fair. We know that we're good. And we know we treat our people good and pay them well. This
And
is
that
business.
says
all you can do.
And that says a lot because none of those other places treat their people good.
And we hear that every single day from all of them.
Yeah.
Because we've had people who've worked other places, all this and that. And so it's a testament to like us. And sometimes the thing we struggle with is being too flexible. But we then know that we are fucking a great place to work.
Right.
For what we do and who we are, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
And we've found that out, kind of growing and figuring out what's best for us. And, it's just another fucking thing we fucking learn along the way.
One of my customers, he's I think he's Greek, but he's immigrant, came here in 1972. He cleans office buildings for a living. That's his business. Very successful at it. And same thing, I like to talk to people in business, because if you don't, it's that, how do we learn this stuff? You know, I say there's no book, but there's thousands of books on how to do business, but no book that I've read. So I talk to people. So, and same thing, struggles with bringing people on. He's like, you just treat them fair. He's like, you treat them good. He's like, you got a kid, young apprentice kid working for you, buy him lunch every now and then, tell him he's appreciated. Like, that's what people want to hear, kick him some extra money. Somebody, pays you cash, give him a little cash bonus if he does something good. Like, those are the things that he'll remember, and those are the things that are important to him right now in his life. And I took that to heart, so I try and, this guy I've worked for, I try and, subtly, because I'm not the best with communication and like the attaboys and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, hey man, like.
And in marriage.
Yeah, well, attaboy.
And we can struggle with things.
yeah.
We can struggle with things.
100%.
But so I try and do the little small things like that, and hope that he sees value in that. And same thing, talk about future and growth,
And just a good place to work.
Yeah.
Because some people will not be bosses. They will not be owners, but they do want a good place to work.
Yeah.
How do we provide that?
Yeah.
That's a win-win.
I think the weirdest thing I guess it's weird. To me, it was weird. Worked in the brewery industry for a while. Did a lot of like plumbing end of it, and then ended up getting involved. I had a bar in the past and got involved on the brewery side of things. There are people that really are very content with just coming to work. They just want to, put in their 35, 40 hours in a job. They just like the atmosphere. I don't want to say it's not about the money, but it really, to these people, it wasn't about
It's
the
the
money.
convenience.
Yeah, it was just the convenience, and it was a cool place for them, and they very much enjoyed it. And I think that environment you create is really what draws people in, and it keeps people. But it can also go sideways really quickly.
Of course.
You get a bad egg, or somebody, rumor mill starts swirling, and
I mean, for the longest time, there's a girl that works near me that every time I see her, I'm like, you gonna come work for me or what? Like, just come work for me. I'll book your clients. Like, you'll get my overflow. You don't have to do nothing. She's got kids, and she's like, I love you. I don't want to fucking do this on my own. I'm content making what I make, working where I work in a salon where everybody takes care of everything for me. My brain doesn't work like that.
Sure.
Your brain, you tried working for somebody.
yeah,
And it was, you went crazy.
it was miserable.
You're
It was miserable
miserable.
to be around.
Yeah.
It was
I love you, but you were miserable. Fuck. You were miserable.
in my head, it's like, well, same thing, same mentality of, I'll do
You just
my.
wanted to go to work and come home.
Yeah, I'll do my 35, 40 hours a week. I'll put my time in. I'll come home, and as soon as I walk in that door, I unplug it, and I'm done. Like, this will be beautiful.
Your brain doesn't work that way.
My brain does not work that way.
In some aspects, it seems good.
Yeah.
And it might be, because then you don't have to deal with the other shit
Right.
that we all have to. In my opinion, though, having that opportunity to control it the way you want to is the fucking glory in it.
It is.
Right.
Right? Once you get there, hopefully you get there, right? Some people don't get there, and some people can't get there.
Right.
But if you can, that is a massive upside.
Yeah.
Once you can kind of establish that control and how you're going to do it.
Sure. And I mean, I've had multiple other businesses that have not been successful, like what I do is, and I think the other thing about starting a business or being in business is also learning kind of how to fail. As weird as that is to say, like, realize, you know what, this seemed like a good idea, but it didn't work,
Sure.
All right, on to the next either plan or business or idea or whatever, so.
But that's the thing about doing a lot of the things, trying everything.
Yep.
Most of it won't work.
Yeah.
We know that. Tons of shit I come up with at the store, like, oh, let's try this, let's do this. I'm simply seeing if we're at the best we can be.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of it, at this point, for us, for sure, won't work. But at least I'm going to try those things, or even if it's a business. As long as you don't totally fuck yourself or something, and people do, for sure, no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
You could always just try again.
Right.
So, like, start young, fail often, whatever that cliche shit is, it's true as fuck. And I've done a lot of that. We've done a lot of that. When we had the Tinley store, we risked a ton and put a ton of money into random shit that didn't work. So we thought we were fucking rolling, and we thought we knew the next best thing. No, we didn't. Right? And there's Ace, but yeah. But it is what it is, and that's a natural growing fucking thing. And don't be scared of that.
No, I think that's all the stuff I did. It was. I'm glad I did it and maybe failed at it. Then instead of being like, man, I wonder what would happen had I done this. At least I tried it and found out, as opposed to never even trying it. So.
And clearly you're here right now, right? Doing your shit.
Yeah.
So like, what's the implication of really failing? Learning. Like, we opened a store with all of our own money, and then we closed it, and we learned, and it was actually better.
Yeah.
What we thought might have, like, opening a business, putting your own money in all the time, that wasn't that bad.
Right.
Like, people think, man, if you close a business or something, oh shit, you lost it all. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
Right.
You gain perspective of we can't do that, like on your own, just the two, like just for what
Yeah.
it was.
That's invaluable. That
Yeah.
lesson to
Yeah.
know that you can't,
and if
got-
you hadn't done that, you wouldn't be doing the franchise.
Literally,
thing.
100%.
Yeah, because you would have been like, oh, we can open 100 of them and just run them ourselves. There's no fucking way.
No fucking way.
You had two, and it just didn't mesh well,
Yep.
So now it's like, well, let's have other people do this and get to that fucking 10 million,
Yeah.
Yeah, your scale, that 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, like if you had those two, like you never get to that 10.
Yep.
You'd just be stuck. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Good shit.
far out.
Yeah, man.
Fuck it. Let's wrap it up because I want some more off-camera shit. And Ace is barking, so he's probably going to go out or some shit. But y'all, I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
That shit was killer.
Thank you for having us.
Got it in. All right, we're going to drop all of our shit right now one more time for you guys, and I'll put all the shit in the description. So, Robert Peppo, Uncensored, number 33. Brad, go ahead and tell them where they can find you and call that number so we get past the 666.
708-532-4664, all your plumbing and lawn sprinkler needs. You can find me on Instagram, NoCoast302, or Lions Den 146. That's Lions with a Z, is all the podcasts and all that stuff that I do.
Yeah, and my stuff is just at skylerray.hair on Instagram if you want some rad blondes or some super slick vivids that nobody else is going to have.
Hell yeah. And Alex, say one thing.
What?
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Check out Peppo's on all social media. Links will be in the description. PeppoSubs.com. That's my restaurant. Always sponsoring this podcast. I appreciate you guys. Keep rocking with us. Hit that like button. Share with somebody you think might find this valuable. One last time, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. This
Yeah.
was fun.
You got it. Out.
This is the Uncensored Podcast with Robert Peppo.
Do you think people will vote